Hell, the woman I met 8 months ago don't look nothing like the one laying across my lap right now. What you doing? And why? This is Bedtime Stories, Grownup Edition, Dreams and Nightmares, Part 3. When we left off, Anya was reading the transcription, created by the voice capture feature in the app on her cell phone. Apparently, it had been running all night long. It recorded whenever someone spoke, and there was quite a lot of speaking between the hours of 3 a.m. and 10 a.m., and she didn't remember a darn thing. But that explained why her battery was on 10% when she'd woken up in her own bed, when the last thing she remembered was being in Bellamy's in Puerto Rico. And that transcript told her everything she needed to know about her night. Everything LJ, True, Manny, and Easy hadn't told her. The night before in Bellamy's, Big Wood walked over to Bosch and asked him why he hadn't readily accepted Saint's job offer. And it was at that moment that Bosch realized he hadn't seen Stax since the round table. It was Stax's job to answer that question. And it was one thing to ask Stax to withhold information from Big Wood. It was a whole nother thing for Bosch himself to look Big Wood in the eye and tell him a bold-faced lie. But Bosch was not prepared to tell someone else's story. Stax needed to know the real reason why Bosch couldn't accept any assignments that weren't connected to the promise that he made and the commitment that he needed to keep. And Bosch was more than willing to allow Big Wood and True to believe that he and Lyric were an item. But before he could form that lie on his lips, something caught his eye, and he looked at Big Wood and said, "I'll explain everything, I promise, but I need to handle something right quick." And then Bosch rushed off. Big Wood tracked him with his eyes and saw Bosch run down on a man who had the lead singer in Bellamy's band. Hemmed up in a corner, she looked rattled, and he looked like a snake preparing to strike. Bosch looked like he was seeing red. And before Big Wood knew it, Bosch was hitting that man. By the time he got 2 or 3 good hits in, Easy and one of the Lopez generals had made their way over to the commotion before Bellamy's security could get there. Big Wood looked around, and then he saw that LJ had been watching the melee too. He made his way over to him and asked, "What you know about that, bro?" LJ said, "I know very little, other than the fact that that man is a St. James soldier, and Lyric is Javier's niece." Hearing that, Big Wood asked, "You think that she's the woman Javier and Manny wanted revenge for?" Big Wood's speech was actually improving. He was living with aphasia as the result of a head injury that he sustained during the war with the International Trafficking Organization. LJ said, "I don't know for sure. Everybody's been quite tight-lipped." And they watched as Javier escorted a rather upset Lyric out the back door. And Easy and the Lopez general escorted Bosch, the St. James soldier, into a back room. LJ said, "When that soldier ran down on her, she looked like she's seen a ghost." As they continued talking, LJ didn't mention the fact that Bosch and Lyric's close relationship wasn't what it looked like, because he knew Big Wood was concerned about why Bosch hadn't accepted Saint's job offer. He wanted that man as far away from his woman as possible. And LJ had a feeling that the scene that they just observed was part and parcel to why Bosch hadn't accepted. His suspicions were supported when Easy came out and said to Big Wood, "Let me holler at you for a minute." Several hours later at the Lopez safe house, Easy and Big Wood were questioning that soldier who'd ran down on Lyric. Easy got a phone call from the soldier who he'd assigned to keep an eye on Anya, apparently sometime after he'd left, and so had all of the old heads, including all of the heads in their right hands. Anya had shown her whole and entire behind. She was on her way to leaving Bellamy's with a Lopez soldier who had a reputation of smashing and dashing, and neither True nor Stephanie saw this as a problem. Her security couldn't dissuade her, and he had no idea what to do now. Easy told him to have the Lopez soldier and Anya get in the vehicle that was waiting for her outside, and he'd do the rest. And that's where the transcript in the app on Anya's phone began. He'd activated it so that they could communicate, because he didn't know ASL, and she was entirely too intoxicated to even attempt speech reading. In the back seat of the chauffeured car, the man she picked up at Bellamy's got a phone call. He'd said very little, but when he hung up, he informed her that they were heading to the Lopez estate. Easy left that St. James soldier in Big Wood's capable hands at the Lopez safe house. He headed directly to the Lopez estate. And just as he stepped out of the vehicle he was riding in, the one that contained Anya and the Lopez soldier pulled up. The Lopez soldier stepped out, Easy climbed in, and then Manny stepped out of the shadows saying, "You make sure that anyone who could possibly suggest that you had your way with my niece is fully aware of the fact that all you did with her was make sure she made it to me safely. And when the soldier who was scared out of his mind said that he understood, Manny said, that vehicle over there will take you back to your car at Bellamy's. Make sure everyone who's still there sees you. And homeboy got the hell out of Dodge. As Anya read the next transcript, she realized that she'd done more than make a fool out of herself in Bellamy's. She made a fool out of herself in the backseat of that chauffeured car in front of Easy. When he climbed in, she had the nerve to be happy to see him. She'd forgotten all about the Lopez soldier. And when the car pulled off, she signed asking, "Where are we going?" And Easy's reply was home. Then Anya threw up all over the backseat of the chauffeured car and passed out. When the car pulled up to the Lopez airstrip, Easy had to carry Anya from the car to the plane. And once on board, there was a Lopez doctor waiting. The voice capture picked up the conversation between the doctor and Easy. And as True had suggested, the doctor had given her that special IV solution. He'd ran it wide open, checked her vitals, and gave Easy the okay for her to fly home. The next thing that she read in that transcript was the pilot announcing takeoff. And as she went to the next transcription, she wondered to herself, just how much did I have to drink? The next transcript could only have been Easy, but she was confused about who on earth that man was talking to, because she could not imagine that there was somebody else on that plane. And then she realized that he'd been talking to her. They'd gotten out of that chauffeured car. He must have tucked her phone in her clutch and didn't even notice that the app was running, because he'd said some rather interesting things. The entire flight, Anya had been sprawled out across Easy's lap, completely and totally knocked out. At one point, Easy found himself unconsciously or subconsciously stroking Anya's hair. And before he knew it, he was talking to her out loud, despite the fact that A, she was unconscious, and B, she was deaf. He said, "You are absolutely beautiful. You should get that snoring checked out, though. I guess it's a good thing you can't hear yourself." He chuckled, and a few moments later, he continued, saying, "How is it that you are the silent person in any room and somehow manage to still be the loudest? You have one hell of an aura. You exude power. You're gifted, anointed, and unaware." After a pretty long pause, Easy said, "When you finally see what everyone else in the world sees, you'll understand why most men look and don't touch. Men don't press women like you unless they got it all together, because your spirit itself is intimidating. And women don't befriend women like you, because all they know is competition. Most are too blind to see that they can't even compete where they don't compare." After another brief pause, he continued, "You know why you've only encountered sucker niggas like the one you married? Because them niggas don't have no shame or self-respect. That's how you end up married to a nigga with the strength and integrity of wet toilet tissue. But real recognize real, baby girl. And real men see you. We just watching and waiting for you to see you." He chuckled and said, "I used to see you at Rio Grande. You never even noticed because you was too busy being the ish. I didn't even know who you were, but I knew you was somebody. And when we officially met, 7, 8 months ago, I didn't even realize that co-ed and the woman you are now are actually one and the same." He shook his head and asked, "What happened to that girl? The one who walked the campus like she owned it. The one who looked right through niggas. Because she was focused on her education, her friends, her clubs, her future. Hell, the woman I met 8 months ago don't look nothing like the one laying across my lap right now. What happened to you, Anya K? What you doing? And why?" Anya had shifted in her sleep, and Easy stopped talking. He forgot momentarily that his talking could not possibly have been interrupting her beauty sleep. Remembering, he kept talking. "I'm changing my whole life, my whole plan, so that if you down, me and you could be a thing without it being a conflict of interest. But you too busy letting that sucker nigga and that mess he did control your present instead of letting it be in the past and not letting it ruin your future. You're ruining the plans that I have for..." And then he stopped, realizing that he'd accepted Saint's job offer for a reason even he hadn't considered. He was talking, processing his feelings, and coming to a whole new realization all at the same time. Reading all of that, Anya was confused. Easy had never said or done anything that would have given her the impression that he was seriously interested in her. Donovan had said some things when Easy had gone over to Ron's house and knocked that man out. And True had insinuated something when she talked to her earlier. But Easy had never been overt. And her motto was, if it wasn't directed, it wasn't respected. She wasn't too sure if this counted as directed. And then she saw that the transcriptions continued. And it got even stranger, because now Easy was clearly talking to somebody else. And she was pretty sure that there was no one else on the plane with them. Anya thought to herself, was he talking to God? Easy had stopped talking to Anya, and then he started talking to the only person who he knew could hear him, but who he feared was no longer listening. He said, come on now, G. Give me a break already. How many birds with broken wings you gonna send my way? What I look like, a damn vet? My bad. I ain't mean no disrespect. Keep this plane in the air. Why you can't just send me a woman who's already whole? Wait, that didn't come out right either. I don't mean her being deaf, but you know that, right? I'm talking about her heart. I've done the work. Well, I'm doing the work. But she ain't even trying. She out here trying to sow oats that ain't never been wild. For what? To prove to her ex-husband that he fumbled the bag? Every man in her orbit that's single, and some that ain't, already knows that he fumbled the bag. I'm sure he went to his grave knowing it too. Me and every other nigga with half a brain out here chomping at the bits to get at her for real, and she willing to settle for Mr. Right now. Why? For what? I ain't got it in me to love another confused, lost, broken woman trying to prove something to people who don't even matter. I already did it once and it almost killed me. My pops had to drag me back from the pits of hell. And he and you promised me that if I'd just be the man you created me to be, you wouldn't put me in this position again. So what you want from me, G? After an abnormally long pause, as if Easy was listening to G's response, Easy said, I cannot stay in Texas. I can't look at her every day. I can't watch her self-destruct. And I can't save her from her damn self. I can't sacrifice my own peace for her. If I did, she wouldn't appreciate it no way. She'd resist it and resent it. She'd resist me and resent me. She'd use me, and then when she thinks she's strong enough to go without me, she's gonna do the same damn thing that hit. And then he stopped. Anya realized that Easy was definitely talking to God about her and Hilda. And she figured she had to be missing something, because those were not the words of a man who done a woman dirty and broke her heart. Those were the words of a man who'd been done dirty, chose to save himself, and broke his own heart. Easy had abruptly stopped talking because he didn't even want to go there. He hadn't even said that woman's name in over a decade. And that was all the comparing of the two women that he planned to do, because they were night and day. He thought to himself, that broad used me until she felt like she ain't need me no more, but held on to me because I was familiar, because I'd always been there, always been the one she could lean and depend on. And while I hung around like a damn fool, she did whatever the hell she wanted until she couldn't anymore. If I hadn't caught her in the... You know what? I gotta let that go. Thank God the plane was ready to land, and he could shift his focus from the future that he'd clearly been hoping for with Anya, in the past that almost killed him with Hilda, to getting Anya safely home. The ride from the airstrip to her home at the family complex was short. He'd already called a female soldier, and she'd be meeting them there. He'd get her inside, and the female soldier would help her to bed. He'd text Saint to let him know that he was ready to start training immediately. Then he'd check in with Big Wood, get a couple of hours of much-needed sleep, and let his team know that that would be his last day at the family complex in Denton. When the transcripts ended, Anya was trying to figure this mess out. She was most interested in the mess with Hilda. Was it possible that Hilda had played a game and lost? And that was the real reason why she was so upset when her relationship ended? After the day that Anya had found her distraught in her dorm room, Hilda had never even mentioned it again. She pulled back from all of her friendships, but Anya had seen her around campus a time or two with various men. And now Anya had more questions than answers. And she couldn't ask Easy because she didn't want him to know that she'd been recording him. It wasn't intentional, but still, how was she gonna find out what she wanted to know? Then she snapped back to reality. To hell with that nigga. He had told everybody but her that he was leaving. left her house and left her wondering about his bedroom skills, intrigued her about all of the possibilities for her to improve her skills as far as speech reading, learning to speak. And not once did he mention that he wanted to have a relationship of some kind with her. So if he didn't want her to know, then she wasn't going to know. This was her season and she was choosing. She damn sure was not about to chase a man who wasn't. Then the doorbell rung and the light started flashing. And somewhere deep inside, she was hoping it was easy. When she opened the door, though, it was her mother. Anya signed, "What took you so long? You told me early this morning that you was coming over." The Queen Mother said, "Girl, I was busy. I had to put out multiple fires. Then I had a meeting with Maribel that turned into a spa day and a lunch with her and Angela. I just left them over at the Lopez estate getting drunk." Speaking of getting drunk, I heard all about your behavior at Bellamy's last night. You better be glad that the soldier that Easy assigned to keep an eye on you did his job. Otherwise, that boy you left out of there with would be a goner. Now tell me why I shouldn't have Manny ban you from Bellamy's." Anya apologized, said she would never do it again. And then she told the Queen Mother about the transcriptions. The Queen Mother said, "You gonna learn your lesson. You gonna stop recording people when they don't know it. It's gonna backfire. It's gonna come back to bite you in the behind. Just you wait." And Anya signed, "But what am I supposed to do about Easy? He's leaving." The Queen Mother signed, "Do you want a relationship with him?" Anya signed, "No, I don't want a relationship with anybody." The Queen Mother signed, "Well, if you change your mind, I have Hilda's contact information. You can start there." Now, I understand that you got a call from Celeste this morning. Anya signed, "That's exactly what I had wanted to talk to you about before all this mess with the transcriptions. Do you know that woman actually thinks that I'm going to help her bury her brother?" The Queen Mother signed, "You don't have to. The family's handling it. Idra and I, Q, and Angela will be in attendance representing the family. And we'll give your apologies, explaining that you are so upset about Ron's death and learning about his sexuality that you couldn't make it." That's the same thing that I told Celeste when I spoke with her earlier. Anya signed, "Why would you do that?" The Queen Mother signed, "Because we don't need anybody asking any more questions about that man's death. And I already knew that you wouldn't be thinking clearly." Then the Queen Mother told Anya about Rennie's detention. And Anya was flabbergasted. The Queen Mother signed, "No worries. I've handled all of that. That's what I was doing with most of my morning. Now, let's you and I have a conversation about how you plan on spending the rest of your life. If you aren't interested in being in any kind of committed relationship, you're going to have to come up with another way to get your groove in, back, or whatever this mess is. Because that mess at Bellamy's can never, ever happen again. Not at Bellamy's or anywhere else. Do you understand? You are the business manager at Bedtime. You're running a nonprofit for the deaf and hard of hearing. You are my daughter. And I get that your world has been shut down like it was COVID 2.0. But now that it's back open, you're going to have to come up with another way to find somebody to help you scratch that itch you got. And you're going to have to set your sights a whole lot higher than them damn soldiers. You have a published thesis that forensic psychiatrists are still using to this day to assist them with supporting disabled victims of SA. You're an educated, cultured, beautiful woman. You want to get your rocks off? I understand. But just like you educate yourself in anything else that you want to know how to do, I think you might need some education in this. Have you talked to Stephanie, True, and Rennie? When Anya signed that she had, the Queen Mother signed, "And this is what they told you to do?" Anya signed, "No, I never really told them about how inexperienced I am." The Queen Mother said, "Oh, dear God. Have you ever heard the expression, BS in, BS out? If you don't tell the people who are trying to help you what they need to know, their ability to help you is going to be limited. Well, if you're intimidated and don't want to tell them how little experience you have, I got some advice for you. You don't chase these niggas. You let them chase you. You line them up and take your pick, not the other way around. You make them feel like they've hit the jackpot solely because you've chosen to allow them to exist in your atmosphere. You're going to have to learn how to walk tall, baby girl. Head up, chest out. And when you walk in a room, you need to be scoping the scene. But you can't be too obvious. You need to always appear slightly unavailable. The men who approach you are either going to have their ish together, so they're going to be so confident in their ability to make a good impression on you that they're willing to bypass your look of unavailability. And some of the men who approach you despite the wall that you have up are going to be completely out of their minds, psychopaths, perverts, or otherwise undesirable. And if you pay attention, you'll be able to spot them a mile away. But if you're doing it right, those are the only types of men who will even approach you. So don't be offended when the wrong ones come your way. They just don't know any better. Anya signed, Medea. Do you know that Easy said almost the same thing when he was talking to me on the plane? The Queen Mother said, let me see this transcription. And then Anya showed her mother everything that her phone had picked up and transcribed. When the Queen Mother was done reading the transcriptions, she just smiled. Anya signed what? The Queen Mother signed, baby girl, when God is done with you and the man that he's preparing for you, life as you know it will never be the same.
After everything you've been through, he ain't done yet. They counted me out, said I was through. Wrote my ending before they knew. The grace stepped in, flipped the script. What was broken